Nowadays, we have access to so many resources. For example, apps, online tutors, language exchange partner, language learning websites, online courses, and so many, which can help you to improve your speaking skill in English. But let's accept the fact that there are people who literally cannot afford these expensive things. They cannot spend money on buying these expensive courses just to improve their English. They cannot pay money through their online tutors, or they do not want to take subscription to any other app. But you want to learn English, or probably you are required to be able to speak in English effectively. Then how you're supposed to learn English? So the only option you have left is to practice speaking on your own or just by yourself. Now you may be wondering that everybody talks about just practice on your own and practice just by yourself. Then how am I supposed to do it? Or is it really effective? Will I ever be able to speak like others if I would practice on my own? So the answer is yes. Yes, it is possible to improve your speaking skill in English just by yourself. And I think I can talk about it very well and can elaborate this topic in a better way, because I do have experience to improve my speaking skill in English just by myself. I had not engaged in any sort of conversation with others or talked to anybody until I could become quite proficient in speaking English, or I could describe whatever I wanted to say. Mostly I prefer talking to myself because it has been really beneficial to me. Because whenever I practice alone and speak to myself, there are so many advantages I get, because I can talk about the things I want. I can talk about the things whenever I want and at whatever place I want. So yeah, definitely you will get a lot of advantage if you are practicing alone. But a lot of people think that what am I supposed to do and how can I practice speaking? So don't worry, let me explain things what can help you to improve your speaking skill in English just by yourself. So without further delay, let's get started. So the first step you have to follow to improve your speaking skill in English is shadowing. It is one of the easiest steps one can follow even as a beginner of English language. So if you are not able to construct sentences, or you have a hard time making a sentence just because you are getting stuck that which grammar rule you should be applying or which vocabulary you should be adding here, then you can follow this step, because you do not need to come up with your own sentence. You just have to imitate what other person are saying. So you just have to play a video and repeat few sentences of that video out loud. Make sure that you are doing this step out loud, because that's how you are making your tongue utter new sentences and being comfortable with the language. So you just have to repeat what is being spoken by other person, and I think it is quite effective because you get to understand many things like grammar rules, sentence structure. There are many phrases or new vocabulary which you can be learned. So this is really effective. Even though if you are a beginner or intermediate, it does not matter. But if you have a hard time speaking in English, then you can follow this step and improve your speaking skill in English. This is a step I have followed for a very long time, because there was a time when I was not able to construct sentences. I was getting stuck whenever I was trying to speak because words were not coming in my mind. So I followed this step and I could see huge amount of changes in my English just because of this step. So you do not need to come up with your own sentence. You just have to focus on every single sentence and repeat it. But yeah, you don't need to repeat every single sentence. You just have to repeat those sentences which sounds interesting to you or which you think that you should be repeating them. So the next step you have to follow is to record yourself while speaking in English. This is my favorite one because once I began recording myself while speaking in English, my English has changed tremendously. And to be honest, I did not follow this step intentionally. Actually, I was watching a self-improvement video and randomly came across to a video where someone mentioned that if you want to improve yourself and if you want to upgrade your life, then start recording yourself in front of camera just to see how drastically your confidence will be changed. So I thought, let me kill two birds with one stone. So instead of speaking in my mother tongue, I decided to speak in English. And to be honest, for a few weeks, I couldn't see any result, but it was really awkward. I was feeling uncomfortable all that time, but I decided to speak in front of camera just for 2 to 5 minutes. In the beginning, I started with 2 minutes and then gradually I started speaking for 5 minutes. And after a month, I was really shocked because I was able to speak whatever I wanted with confidence. This is a step you must try. I would highly recommend you. I just give it a damn if you follow other steps or not, but this is a step which will help you a lot to improve your English just by yourself, especially if you're alone and want to improve your English on your own. Because when you record yourself and after recording when you watch your video, you will be aware that what kind of mistakes you make while speaking in English. So you will be able to correct them and make sure that you don't repeat those mistakes. Again, here are two ways to record yourself. Either you can record your voice while speaking in English, or you can sit in front of camera and start recording yourself. But I would highly recommend you to start recording yourself in front of camera. Although it would be quite uncomfortable and you may feel creepy and you may feel like, what am I doing? But you have to put yourself into uncomfortable situation, because if you want to improve your English and if you want to speak English confidently in front of hundreds of people, then you must follow this step. You will have to put yourself into uncomfortable situation so that you can become a better speaker. So the next thing you are supposed to do is to summarize things in your own words. So now let me elaborate it a little bit. So I'm sure you must be watching or listening or reading something in order to improve your English. So you just have to explain things in your own words. So you just have to describe what you have understood from the video which you have watched, or from the podcast which you have listened to, or from the book which you have read. It could be anything. You just have to describe it in your own words. And trust me, it plays a significant role to improve your speaking skill if you are trying to improve your English on your own. You can explain whatever you want. So if you are someone who loves watching movies, then you can describe that movie in 10 to 15 minutes in your own words. You can talk about any incident which you have made and which has happened to you. You can talk about your school life, your college life, that how it went and what you want to become, what actually inspire you to work hard and to do whatever you are doing. So you can talk about whatever you want. Personally, I just wake up in the morning, and if I do watch a video or if I do listen to a podcast or if I read something, I try to elaborate it in my own words. Even though if I have reached to this level, still I describe things in my own words just to improve my speaking skill. Earlier, I was accustomed of reading suspense and thriller stories, although I was reading them in Hindi, but then I began explaining them in English. So I used to talk about what is the moral of the story and what I understood from this story, or how would I act or react if I would ever encounter those situations. Although it was just an imaginary situation, but it was helping me to describe things and to come up with new words and to explain them in a better way. So the next step you are supposed to follow is to answer questions. This is something I have done a lot. Like, I don't even remember how many questions I have answered and how many topics I have talked about. Now you may be thinking that whose question I'm going to answer, because I don't have anybody to practice with. I have to do it on my own. So you don't have to worry about it. You just have to go to Google and search 50 or 100 topics which you want to talk about, or you can also go to Google and search IELTS questions. It could be anything. I used to go to Google and search that what are the questions I can ask to others. So that's how I used to answer those questions. I used to ask to myself and then answered them. When you are asking questions to yourself, it will not only help you to improve your speaking skill in English, but it will also make you think in English that what could be the answer of these questions. So I still remember when I began engaging in a conversation with others, I used those questions. So if I was not getting any topic to discuss on, I used to ask those random questions to others. For example, okay, what you are good at? What actually makes you happy? What actually makes you angry? What are your priorities? So it could be anything. And when I was asking these questions to them, they were actually thinking that, yeah, I have never thought of this question. So in this way, you can also stick to any conversation if you are practicing with others. So here are few steps I have suggested which can help you to improve your speaking skill in English just by yourself. And I would highly recommend you not to think twice before implementing them, because all of them are really effective. And you should not be worrying about whether they are helpful or not, because I have experimented all of them for a very long time and all of them worked wonder. So I can tell you, I can assure you that all of them will be helpful to you if you are following them in a right way. And yeah, I forgot to mention one thing, that you have to follow all the steps out loud, because that is the only thing which can help you to improve your speaking skill. So you have to repeat all of them out loud, and that's how you are supposed to improve your speaking skill just by yourself. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and interesting. So please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.